I'm not I'm a big fan of making excuses, but I sat out a good portion of the year, and I'm the type of guy that with competition, I feed off that and I feel progress. You can see when you're out on the mat, your weaknesses show more so than in the practice room, because that's your competitive side wrestling out on the mat. Whereas in the room, it's just kind of like your relaxed side. You're a different person when you're worked up, when the nerves are running through you, and I think getting lost in the question here a little bit, but more or less, I would just say, repetition, getting competition, tough opponents, facing some losses maybe even helped me out. Just little things like that keep me going, and when it comes to the end of the year, you really those last 2 weeks before the season's over, you really gotta figure out how you're gonna peak, and that's what I did, and I think, I may not peak to the Olympic champ that I want to be, but I peaked to the best I can be at this point in my life. Thank you.
Cory,
I wind up in that position quite a bit. It's funny you say that because when I wrestled Michik, it was the same thing. He was in on that leg. I whiz her down real hard, kind of make him take the backside route. I straighten my leg and I come to that, that hold that I wound up in. And it was back at the hotel and I was talking to Gilman. And I told him, I said, isn't that crazy that I keep getting that takedown on guys? Because it's kind of a cheap, almost like a lazy way of getting a takedown, but as it looks, but it takes a lot of hard work and energy. It's not easy to do, but it's kind of cheap how they're in so deep and you wound up scoring on them. You got to think what that does to a guy mentally. But I used to do that to Gilman all the time. So not all the time, but I used to get good guys in the room like that, Ramos, Gilman, get guys like that with that same move. So I brought it up to Gilman, I'm like, ain't it crazy that I keep hitting that on people? And he kind of laughed at me because he knew I was pointing at him, but I don't know, it's just a move that I've got to in practice, and you get on a big stage, you're having fun out there, and sometimes things show that you guys may not have ever seen out of me, but my coaches and teammates have seen me hit that stuff thousands of times. So much stuff I hit in the room that haven't even showed out in a match yet.
Cory, actually with that arm, if you can add, how much has it changed your style?
Well, first of all, one of my main goals as a competitor is to show no pain, show no emotion, so that sucks that you noticed that hurt. But to be honest, we're in the national finals. It doesn't matter if you cut my arm off. It doesn't matter what kind of pain I'm in. It doesn't matter at this point. Tomorrow's what matters, and I'm not going to sit here and say this hurts or this hurts tonight. And once the tournament's over, I'll be glad to sit down with you and tell you about what hurts. Not to be an ass, but it's just kind of how I feel.
Cory, you've gotten yourself to this position.
Cory, 2 years ago, while you were wrestling for Tomasello, your opponent tomorrow night was on your team and in jail in Iowa.
Yeah.
How crazy is it that you're going to end your career against Seth Gross, and what do you think about that match?
That's crazy to think about it the way you say it, but I think 2 years has gone by. And I think he's matured a lot, and I think he's formed himself into what he wants to be. Back then, he was a red shirt. He wasn't really wrestling for a purpose or whatever. So I'm not gonna take him. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, he's a screw off, or he doesn't have the frame of mind I have because maybe he didn't 2 years ago. But I'm not gonna take him lightly because of any of those reasons. I know he's a warrior. I know he wants to win this national championship, and I know he'd love to stick it up my what. So. That's my job, and no one else can control how that match goes other than me. My coaches have prepared me for it, but it's all in my hands from here out.